good spirit. And actually part of what we're doing too is helping them understand the way we're going to operate this coming year with the masks in any public place. We're all getting quite a collection of masks, keeping them in the back pocket, et cetera. Because when I step outside of my personal office into a public place, even to go down the hall to get a cup of coffee, and I'm wearing a mask. That's what we're all doing. And inside any public building, public area, you're wearing a mask. The only place you're not is in a private office or a private room in the residence halls, or if you're outside, physically distanced away from other people. So it is an exciting time. The students are starting to move into the res halls, and the campus is coming back to life. And we're so excited about that. Tonight, or this afternoon's session really is special for the Maritime Academy cadets, and parents to communicate a lot of what's been going on in the area that's different than the normal college experience and college requirements, et cetera. And in a lot of ways, it's harder. And so there's a lot of different considerations and stuff that we've put together. And so we're going to spend a lot of time really talking about those things and what we're doing to keep the program moving forward and to get all of our cadets, through the program as expeditiously as we can. We've got to say up front that not sailing, the majority of our eligible cadets, and this is for the license option cadets, not sailing the large group on the Kennedy this summer was a significant hit. There's actually no way to get everybody caught up and on track for what your graduation and licensing date was predicted to be back in February. There's just not. We're working it, and but right now we've got 47 of our seniors on board that are graduating in August and December, and I'll let Captain Post talk about that more in a few minutes. And we'll get into more of this later. But we're talking about the plans for years ahead. Speaking of years ahead, I want to lead off with some, really good news. It's been a dream for years, really. The National Security Multi-Mission Vessel Program, the new ship for us, has been, on PowerPoint for years without any hope of getting it funded. The money is now moving through the Congress right now for the new ship that will come to us. That is incredibly exciting. It has actually passed through all of the required wickets in the House, and it's made the first couple of major steps in the Senate. It's a little slower there. We still think it's going to be another month or so that we hope it gets through the Senate and then gets a final bill through the entire Congress. It's possible it'll go into continuing resolution, but the good news is that we have very strong support from not just the Texas delegation and our senators, our local Congressman Randy Weber, as well as others across the state have really pulled together and have helped lead this charge, in the Congress for us. So it's exciting to see it happening. It's still a slow process. They have not started cutting steel for the first ship, which will be going to New York. That is expected to start very soon. Once they get them rolling, the program will move quickly. There are essentially 3 ships funded. The 4th one comes to us. And so the expected delivery of that new ship on our campus will be about 2026. So it's about 6 years away. But the good news is that when the second ship goes to Massachusetts, the T.S. Kennedy, upon which we sailed in 2018, will move permanently to our dock. That'll be great. Then we'll have the big ship here all the time. We'll get to use it. She's a great ship. It is, old technology on it, but she's a great ship that can handle all of our cadets, as well as be a great teaching space at our dockside for everybody. So there's we're working funding through the Texas legislature right now, or we will be next spring, to do some of the improvements, get that we need on the campus. We need to beef up our dock. We need to get money to outfit the NSMV when it shows up here, because we're responsible for doing part of the outfitting of the ship, as well as campus infrastructure. Right now, we don't have the central plant that could handle the extra load of this extra large ship, on our campus. And so we're making a run at the Texas legislature. That will be the next thing we ask you for those cards and letters about, because we need to get this, and it's about a $55 million ask for improvements to the campus to support the large ship. So there's great things going on there, and that's in the years ahead. So, our younger cadets are going to sail on the Kennedy and train on the Kennedy during the year soon. So we're excited about that too. I'm going to pass it over now to Captain Post to give us an update on this summer's sea term, because he has been, there's one person that's been pulling the oars the hardest. This is the man, and we would not be out there right now without the huge efforts, energy, and creativity that he's put into it. Take it away, Captain Post.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Although it was a very large team effort, and a huge thanks to all of the faculty that were able to pull this together and actually accomplish it. I just got a text from Captain McNeese. He is anchored off of Cape Coral, Florida, about 1.5 miles offshore, so that they can suck down some cell phone time and some internet for the weekend. And all of our graduating seniors will be able to watch commencement live and take their oath. Wow. Best laid plans this year have been scattered to the wind, and ours have been no exception. We initially were going to take the Kennedy out this summer, way back before COVID threw everything out with the bathwater, and we would have been completely caught up, and we still have those plans, but we're now working with a new normal. And that new normal includes keeping any form of COVID-19 off of the ship, because we all know that social distancing and mask wearing on a ship is very problematic for a number of reasons, including safety. In order to accomplish that, all of the captains of the training ships, in consultation with MARAD, and us in consultation with our medical providers up at main campus, Dr. Gore, who sailed with us, and the rest of the student health team up there, as well as the public health professionals and researchers up in College Station. We all sat down, put our heads together, and came up with the best game plan we could. And that was to create a citadel status, or a clean ship citadel status, for the general rudder. We did sail with the largest number of cadets this summer, 47. And the way we did it was everybody gets tested twice and quarantines in between. And it took about 7 days to clear quarantine for the cadets. Once everybody was done, we think we can cut the time down now that testing results can come back a little bit quicker. And we're very hopeful with that. It is possible that going forward with large sea terms, or even just the general rudder, that we will be doing a full-scale 7-day quarantine prior to getting on board the training ships, in order to ensure that we are virus-free. And continuing with that, as the crew and cadets have called it, we created the General Rudder Autonomous Zone down on the waterfront inside of our security fencing. And we added a whole lot of recreational equipment. We created COVID Cove and a weight room, basketball court, so on and so forth, so that while they were here in Galveston, they could get off the ship and recreate and stretch their legs to the best of their abilities. But we had very strict measures for them to get supplies in and stuff delivered to them, personal stuff delivered to them. We had we set up a separate mailroom in the SEAGI Center, where all of the cadet mail and supplies going to the ship were quarantined for 72 hours and then disinfected using 100% pure ethyl alcohol. 200 proof. And we did that because it was the fastest and safest disinfectant. All of our stores were also disinfected in the same manner, all of them sprayed down and brought on board. And no one was allowed into the Citadel zone without the captain and I's approval. And so far, knock on wood, it has worked very well. We have been incredibly happy with the performance of the vessel, the crew, and cadets. They have been doing an awesome job. They even got some realistic weather on their last trip, and they did a great job following page, I think it's 916 in Bowditch, which is the American Practical Navigator, of how to stay out of the way of large storms. And they were successfully able to do that as well, and pulled in behind it. So great hands-on experience is being had by all, and we look forward to welcoming them back on campus on August 17th for the finale of Summer Sea Term 2020 on August 21st. Back to you, Colonel.
Thanks, Alan. And we're going to kind of move into academy operations here, going in to talk about it in general. Because I know we have a mix of parents and cadets that have been with us for a few years. We've got some that are brand new. They're maybe starting a week this week, and or this weekend, as well as some prospective students for the future. If you look around the Maritime Academy, the staff that runs Maritime Academy right now, there's actually only one person still in the Maritime Academy staff that was here a year ago. So we've had a very large turnover in who's doing everything, and it's been my job to get the right team together that can start to tie the academy operations, realigning the administrative functions, cadet operations, more in line with the rest of the university operations, record keeping, etc. We're not 100% there yet, not by any long shot, but we've made a lot of great strides and have a lot of, getting really good people in here to do that. And I'm very happy with the things we've been able to accomplish. And really, in a large part, we've been listening. We've been listening, and we've heard what you, our students, our parents, and even our former students are saying, and we're doing our best to adapt and to really step up our service to you and the quality and consistency of the program that we're delivering. Now, these changes were all in place. They started fairly early last fall as we were picking up new responsibilities, myself included, taking over as a superintendent, getting Captain Post to come in as a deputy to help out with really a lot of the heavy lifting with the ship operations and stuff. But one big change we made too was took the Commandant, Commander Ben Belson, who wasn't here yet, but he came aboard in February. But really, one of the very first things that I did was move the Commandant staff out from underneath the Maritime Academy to the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Sutherland, because the core, the Maritime Academy, it is the Texas A&M Maritime Academy, but it is also student group, and they are part of the whole student discipline process, and what we wanted to move it beyond just that part to the student, a leadership development team that Dr. Sutherland has, that he's uses successfully all over the campus with other student organizations. But I wanted to get his team working with the Commandant staff that are working specifically with the Maritime Academy to get those same ideas of that leadership growth through the years of time as a member of the Corps of Cadets, whether you're licensed or NROTC or drill and ceremonies. All cadets should have the opportunity to to be part of that leadership growth, and that's what being a cadet's all about. So Dr. Sutherland is very much, in lines with what we're doing here. Thank goodness we had all those things moving, because we certainly, for us, storm season was many months away, because we're looking at hurricanes, looking on the horizon. And indeed, we got hit by a different storm that we saw approaching in February, and it full bore hit us in March, and we've been dealing with it ever since. The challenges are not unique just to us. It's affected not just the Maritime Academy, of course, it's affected our entire campus, our entire university, and our nation. All of the Maritime Academies have been impacted the same way we've been impacted. It has been, it's been very hard, and it's beyond Maritime Academies. The entire maritime operational world is still reeling and adjusting to how they can continue to move 90% of everything we use where consumer drive on the water. They're doing it by pre-quarantines, testing, putting people in motel rooms and having food delivered to their door for a week or 10 days before they allow them on the ship, as those are the kind of things that are going on out there, as well as, and I've heard from some of our recent grads that have reported in when they got off of what was supposed to be a 45-day stint on a ship that was pushed out to 100 and 120 because they had a clean ship. They didn't have the virus on the ship, and so they kept everybody on board, and they just kept sailing. It's changed everything in ports too. Like Captain Post said, we're not, for the rudder this summer, the only dock they're docking to, unless there's some kind of emergency, will be our dock right here. It's certainly not what we had dreamed about doing when we were planning this summer's sea term last fall with faraway places and foreign lands. But this is the only way that we can keep them safe, keep them in Citadel mode. And like Captain Post said, by having a dock area that we can 100% control, then we can give them a little bit of breathing room. And if you're docked at some other place, you would not be able to even go down the gangway to walk up and down the dock itself. So it's working for us. It's not ideal, not what we want to do, but it's what we can do right now to get these 47 August and December grads across the line. The other academies have been similarly hit. We were not able to get out. We were not able to formulate a plan in time to take out the Kennedy. We've got some work to do before we scale up that full pre-quarantine plan to put another 300 to 350 people on the ship next summer. That is what we're planning to do, but we're not completely sure how we're going to do it yet. But we'll have to scale things up quite a bit. But we will go through the same kind of thing. It is absolutely essential to keep the virus off of the ship, because we know what happens. We've seen it in cruise ships. We've seen it in aircraft carriers. But that's what we're leaning forward to. None of the other academies were able to sail this summer. They're doing a few smaller scale things, but we're very fortunate for a change to have a small ship that managed to just barely accommodate the number of cadets that we just absolutely had to get on board. In the years ahead, or in the months ahead, and we may be talking about it later, but we're looking at options for the future. We know there's a lot of cadets that did not get their sea term in this summer. We're well aware of that. It's not just getting sea days either. It's getting the full sea term. It's an academic course, the 200, 300, or 4-level course. It's not just counting days. Those would be much easier to get, but it's getting on board with the faculty, the right ship, and the opportunity to accomplish all of your objectives that are required to complete that course. And there's and I think Captain Roth and Dr. Kane will get into that in a little bit. Dr. Sutherland, you want to talk a little bit more about student affairs integration?
Sure, you've covered it pretty well. I can tell you I was very excited about the opportunity. having been at this campus now for about 25 years, 26 years, I've really worked with the Corps in a lot of different roles, including, interim for different times. So it's really given me a perspective on how we might be able to improve things. I think the biggest thing is that for years and years that the Texas A&M Maritime Academy operate as a small component, and by integrating all across, it allows us to bring a lot more expertise to bear to benefit the cadets. I've got 20 some odd professionals with advanced degrees in areas of student development and some of the campus recreation, and now we're able to work very seamlessly with the commandant staff to try and troubleshoot and to give new perspectives. I mean, we're looking at how we might be able to take our campus recreation folks and change PT to where people can get credit doing things that they might find more fun. We're looking at student discipline and further assimilating into a system that College Station has used for years with their cadets. We're in the process of having that occur. So trying to really bring a lot more expertise and the problem solving that our folks have used on students all the way across the board to really make the cadet experience a little more seamless and productive for them. So we've been working with students for quite some time, and I think the other thing that the cadets will be very excited is we really have a student engagement as the priority. So we'll be pulling them into different types of committees and looking for different ways to promote more cadet activity and more leadership opportunities, which I think truly is a key part of the Corps of Cadet system. So lots of things in the works. I've thrown out a lot of crazy harebrained ideas to the commandant and to the Corps commander and said, let's look at these and let's get cadet perspectives. And had a chance to talk to I guess the 1st Battalion's leadership today and throw out some of the ideas, and we're going to get through O Week, very excited about that, and then start looking at how we might make this an even better experience for the cadets.
Fantastic. Thanks a bunch, Todd. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit, and let's talk about the overall campus, operations in COVID here. They're just starting right from the beginning, I guess. Nothing has changed about our application process except for the campus tours. Those have been, they were stopped for a long time, and they've just restarted, and it was actually pretty exciting. I met several groups that were in the building this morning that were here for a campus tour, prospective students for a year away. So we are doing the small groups, for those kind of campus tours, which is, it's great. As we get ready for classes, so much has gone on. And first of all, I want to say, we are working absolutely, in sync with the main campus in College Station. So we're working constantly with all of our counterparts up there, me with the president and the provost, as well as Dr. LeShorn working with the provost, and Dr. Sutherland's working with Dr. Danny Pugh up there. We're working very close with them. So we're working all of the return to campus stuff that we're doing here is the same stuff that's going on in the entire university of which we're a part. One thing is staggering the classes a little bit more. The class day is stretching more from 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening, where there weren't that many classes that would go until 8 in the evening before. But in order to use the available classroom space with fewer people, and so we're stretching reducing classrooms density to allow for more physical distancing between the students in classrooms is an important part of this. So we'll be operating the classrooms at no more than 40% of the occupancy. So we're literally, indicating which seats are okay to sit in. Each one of those seats will have a QR code that the student using our campus app on their phone will be able to go in, and we will ask them to scan in so we know which seat they were sitting at that day. That could help us with future contact tracing if necessary. But reducing the density in the class, about 54%, 53% of our course sections right now are face-to-face. It might be, alternating face-to-face and remote, but 54% of our class sections are a face-to-face class. That's good. Over 75% of our students will have 2 or more face-to-face classes. We've really emphasized, particularly the freshmen, having the largest number of face-to-face classes just to help them adjust better to the academic or the college university environment. We're actually really, those numbers are really good for us, and they're actually a little bit better than in College Station on the main campus. So we're proud of that, and I'm proud of our faculty for figuring out how to do that. Getting the classrooms, some don't work in the existing classrooms. So we've got an event center in the event center that's right here next to in the front of the campus. Has a large ballroom area or a large meeting room area upstairs. Well, that's going to be classrooms. So we're using some non-traditional spaces on the campus as classrooms, and that's a way of getting more separation from the students that are in there. The schedule changed in another way. Besides stretching the beginning and end of the day, we're also increasing the time between class blocks. So there's a 30-minute block in between classes where there will be no classes scheduled. So they give time for the students that are in the classroom for a certain session to leave and kind of clear the halls, clear the building, and then the next group of students to filter in when it's time to come into class. So that reduces some of the congestion and congregating in the halls. There are also, during a block in the very early afternoon, there will be no classes scheduled on campus, which will allow SSC to go through all of the classroom spaces with basically electrostatic sprayers and give them all kind of another going over in the middle of the day. So they'll get a good cleaning, deep cleaning at night before we come in, and then in the middle of the day they'll get another one to do our best. All of the touch areas around the common areas, the doorknobs and all that, we get multiple cleanings a day to help just minimize the transmission. Like I mentioned earlier, we're all wearing masks. When you're outside of your personal room, then you're wearing your mask, whatever that is. And we're all going to be encouraging each other to do that. Let's see. We are using that technology. I mentioned the QR codes as a way of supporting the contact tracing. When we need to, we will be able to go down and be able to say, okay, look, somebody is a suspected case. Who are they sitting close to? So we'll be able to, assign case managers, start running those numbers, and letting people know that they need to be a little bit concerned about it or need to be aware. The students are responsible for cleaning their own residence rooms as usual. And as members of the Corps, we expect a higher degree of that kind of cleanliness, because that's what is expected when you're in the industry. Nobody wants to live with a messy person. And so that's part of the reason for that whole part of the cadet experience. All of those cadet rooms are deep cleaned and disinfected prior to the students' arrival. That's already taken place. In the event of a positive case in the residence halls, we will do a deep cleaning and disinfection. We've got rooms, really suites reserved on campus for on-campus quarantine. If necessary, it's between about 60 and 80 beds that we have set aside right now. So when we have a need to quarantine or isolate on campus, we are prepared to do that right now. If we have somebody that's suspect, roommates, that are or that is positive, and they go to a quarantine facility or isolation, roommates who are not symptomatic will, self-isolate for a period of time. If the symptomatic student ends up being tested and is positive, then all close contacts will also be tested. We've got options to quarantine them together if that works out. Part of returning to campus for everybody, me included, is daily monitoring, daily temperature checks. I take my temperature every morning when I get up. I keep a thermometer with me, at my, in my backpack right now, and I will typically check it 1 or 2 times during the day. I want to know. And really, we are all required, all employees are required to do that. All of us had to take training and sign a certification that we understand the necessary measures to prevent the spread of COVID, as well as our responsibility as employees of this university if we're going to come on campus, if we're going to actually continue to be employed by the university on this campus, we are all required to do these things. We're just asking the students to do the same thing that all of us are doing too. There is a reporting portal that is currently being used by students and faculty and staff. Appreciate those individuals that have some reason to be suspect or have positive confirmation if they think they were with somebody that a few days ago, and we were probably closer than we should have been, and all of a sudden they are positive. Self-report, go onto the form, and then that kicks off the actions for our part. In addition, any supervisor, employees are reporting the same way right now. Any supervisor that hears about it from somebody that's under them is also reporting it. So we'll get hopefully 2 reports just in case one of them misses. One of the things that we've got going for us is there is testing available on campus for those that are exhibiting symptoms or have been in close contact. It is a limited supply, but we do have tests that come to us from the Texas A&M University system. One of the there's a couple of really good things about it. It's by a company called Curative, and it's not a nasal swab, which I haven't been tested yet, but I understand the nasal swab testing is pretty miserable. This is an oral swab, so it's moving it around in your mouth, and the person does it themselves, so you don't have that uncomfortable sensation of somebody else probing you. And then these are picked up by a courier every afternoon, and sent to a lab. We typically get results within 2 days, which is really, really great. We have our own contract with this company, and so that is working really well. If a person is positive, they get notified right away. I guess the person gets notified either. If it's negative, the person gets notified right away. If it's positive, we get notified right away, so we can make the contact with them, because it's pretty scary to all of a sudden find this out. So we want to make sure we've got the support network in place, associated with that. One of the questions that did come up was, how are parents going to find out about a positive test? Well, that will depend on whether your student has in their student records that we are allowed to tell you, because sometimes, unless the student, because assuming they're 18 or older, unless they have authorized you to find out that kind of personal health information, we're not allowed to transmit it to you. So anyway, I encourage you to have that conversation with your student to make sure have them show you that they have selected you as a person that we're allowed to contact with this. We will also, in addition to testing people that need it, and we've been testing employees already. I think we've administered over pretty close to 200 tests. Thanks, Alan. Saw your hand signals there. So far, 0 positive tests on campus. And a lot of that has been the people that are involved with the salt camps and the O-week cadre and stuff. So we've so far so good. In addition to that, though, we'll also be doing some strategic surveillance testing around the campus, and it's just part of the best practices in dealing with this. Is even though we're going to just pick up some areas and test everybody, just to kind of get an idea what's going on in different communities on the campus. And so I won't go into excruciating details about that, but we're working with the health professionals in College Station, and we're operationalizing all those concepts here. I have a note that lab testing could take 3 days, maybe depending on the time of day that the test is taken, but it's going really well. One thing about res halls is there will be no visitors. There won't be anybody coming into a residence hall who doesn't live in that residence hall, and really no visitors in rooms even. That room should be as safe and and private as your homes right now, where you're not having people come into your homes. And kind of think of it that way. Everybody, and my office right now is a private place. The cleaning people don't come in here. I clean my own office. I take out my own trash. There hadn't been anybody in my office in months, so it's just me and my germs in here. And I really encourage all of the students to think of their room the same way. It's them and their roommate. They will become family because they're in it together, just as all of us are family. And every family member is cognizant of the fact that they don't want to go do away from the rest of their family, do something and manage to bring the bug back into the house. We've got to think about it the same way here. So that's what we're doing. There will be limited use of the common areas that are in the res halls and stuff like that, as well as the dorms. There will be study spaces available and things like that, but everybody's got to always be thinking, how do I just keep a little physical separation and keep myself and those around me safe. We do have a great partnership with UTMB down here, as we have had for the healthcare and for our students, the health services there. That still exists. The testing that we have, again, is in addition to any other support that we've got, that we're able to get through there if we need to. We do not we have a finite set of tests. We have 200 a month to use on this campus right now. So what do you do if you get a positive test? If it's an employee, well, we send them home. If it's a student, I have the option. If you together decide it's best for them to come home, then we certainly support that for whatever duration of time they need to get home and isolate until they're ready to come back. If you decide it's better for them to stay here because of health situation back home or distance or whatever reason, we'll take care of them here. We'll have the places to have them isolated while they're going through it, people that can check on them. No, we do not have a doctor or a nurse on campus. If we need to, if they're taken a turn for the worse, though, we will get them to the hospital here. Let's see. Again, each person, whether it's a student or employee, if we get a report of positive coming in, then we do assign a case manager. To actually work the details for this person, to do the contact tracing and the notification of people. It is still private health information, and so for students and employees, I can't announce, Colonel Fossum's positive. Anybody that was around him in the cafeteria or anywhere else needs to start more careful monitoring. But the protocols, we're following everything based on, CDC, state, university, and legal, for notifying people that they're, and we've done it on campus. There was somebody positive in this work area. Everybody needs to take a few days off, not working in this work area, and self-monitor, and we get SSC in there to do a deep clean. So we've been practicing those things from the beginning. It's had very little on campus, but we've had the practice. Returning to activities, whether it's work or person-to-person classes and stuff, will follow the guidance that we're getting from the Texas A&M University system, which is really being informed by the CDC, et cetera, as far as time or symptom-based criteria. I can tell you what it is today, but it is actually changing frequently, not as frequently now, but about weekly. We get updates on what is defined as best practices, so we're adopting that here now. I think I covered a lot of that. Yeah. There is a committee that I was just in just before we picked up this call here on the main campus, working under the provost with about 20 of the senior leaders from the university, that's really looking at a lot of data for College Station area, of course, the Brazos County, our campus in Galveston County, as well as the McAllen Higher Education Center and some other sites around the state, looking at different data. So right now we're going in assuming this mix of some of the online delivery and face-to-face classes, et cetera. But we're looking what we're looking at is phases. If what factors would come together that made us decide we needed to step back and do less face-to-face classes, go online, all online for a couple of weeks while we let something settle, and then we can pick up the face-to-face labs and things like that. So we're looking at hospitalization rates, infection rates in the metro areas, county areas. We're looking at what's going on in school districts because the ISDs and their posture, the biggest impact that the ISDs have is actually the difficulty for employees to come back to work when all of a sudden, they've got a school-age child at home that they need to help support the education for their child at home. So then we have a harder time getting them onto campus here to meet the needs that we've, to do their job here too. So that's part of this. But really looking at the testing and the case rates on campus with students and employees, and a lot of other factors like that. So this is it's gathering the metrics, and we push them up to College Station midweek, and then on Fridays we have a meeting to talk about what's going on where. It's a disciplined process. We're still trying to figure out exactly what data to collect and how to best use it. But it's a lot of fun because we've got very competent medical leaders in the group that are part of this. And near and dear to every Aggie's heart too is the athletic director's part of that team. So we're really hoping for success so we can enjoy Aggie football coming up. And I think I mentioned it already kind of up front, but there's a lot of changes going on, and it's how we can handle the academic programs, on campus, as well as the C terms. And almost everybody's that's in this call, almost everybody's graduation date has been or will be affected. For many of you, and we're hoping that it's not much more than changing a future May graduation date to an August graduation date. But we know there's a lot of people that may be impacted worse than that. We don't have all the answers yet. We're really looking at what we could do. We had to get through this summer with the rudder. And we needed to get through the summer with the rudder and prove that we could do it. And then we're looking at what next steps we can take. We don't have the answers on that yet, but it may involve getting the rudder out during the spring semester. We know that's a hard one because a lot of critical coursework and stuff takes place in the spring semester. And so it may be that we would not have an option to pull cadets, have them not in regular classes and be doing that. It's too soon to tell. we'll get this semester started, and we'll start working on it, looking at it as the semester progresses. But it's really important that, we, everybody, get in here and start doing what we need to do to keep this on track. I wanted to switch gears because you're tired of listening to me talk, and get Captain Dr. Roth and Dr. Kane to talk about it from the academic program delivery point of view, and what we've done so far and how things are looking. Gussie? You can unmute yourself, I think.
Okay. Wasn't sure if I was allowed to. So as everybody knows, our program's more professional, and it requires a lot of hands-on and mentorship between the faculty and the students, and peer leadership development. And we're not just our own program. We're required to follow national and international standards so that we can be competitive and hold our positions offshore. So we've had to really work hard, and I think Matt and I can agree that we've pushed our faculty to the limits to try to make sure all the STCW assessments and the lineups for the MMC stay standardized. That way that our students upon graduation will not be looked at as not completing a full internationally recognized program, which is defined under the International Maritime Organization, part of the United Nations, that they participate in a minimum of 36-month program to get the equivalent leniency of a training program. We all know that there's still the ability to housepipe, which is to work your way up from down below decks all the way up into an officer's position. So in doing that, the 36-month programs are allowed to do some lighter requirements, and one of those is sea service, and we don't have to do the full 1,080 days after the having an AB ticket and such that's lined out in the CFRs. 46 CFRs 310 for the training programs require that you participate fully in a regimented program, which means that you will have to be on campus wearing the uniform that's prescribed by our program. This helps build team relations, communications that are more subtle as opposed to just vocal. That means that you are taking the time to put a uniform on, set your standards on your lapels, and then recognize if you're not here on campus, we cannot fully participate and educate you in recognizing the details that are around you. So with trying to keep our program wholly intact, we spent a lot of time working with my superior, Dr. LaSharn, and the provost to make sure that our professional degrees stay intact and that our outcome of our graduates are completely in line with what they've been in the past and what they will be continuously in the future, and possibly even improve as we go through these hurdles. So IMO tells us we have a certain requirement to meet. Then our national requirement comes in and lays on a layer and mandates that us be participating, and all of the intricacies between the Corps of Cadets, the watch standing, the maintenance, the sea service, the licensures, the leadership development between upperclassmen and underclassmen, and developing those bonds are just beyond a normal degree. And if we try to even decouple that type of education, you're really minimizing yourself as a professional. So what we have done is made some arrangements to keep as much of our program right now face-to-face. That means all labs we are putting face-to-face. As Colonel Fossum said, for our freshmen coming in, it's a new environment, so we need to keep a closer eye on them. So I definitely put 2 of my classes face-to-face, lecture and lab. That way that they can get that culture experience and build off of it from their first year. And we need the seniors to help reinforce that. So as we find out where things settle with the courses here come the fall, my department will be trying to put more and more courses face-to-face so that you don't lose that, not only education, but your professional development on into your networking and connection between the classes. And that's what Aggies are really known for. And we don't want to lose any bit of that. So we're going to keep pushing and striving to meet all of the requirements intact without having to minimize or devalue what we think is your best needs. As far as the classes, once again, we are doing everything, as Colonel Fossum says, is the guidelines. We are going to hopefully even open up the simulators a little bit more so we can get people to come in outside of classes to work more on the simulators, opening it up more times. We are going to put 1 to a station as opposed to 2 to a station so that they definitely clear that 6-foot spacing. And each instructor knows that you can't get the same value away as you can in the classroom face to face. So my faculty are wanting you to come by and still have that same open door conversations with them. We're just gonna have the mask and spacings in our offices set up so that you still have all of that value. I'm not sure if I've left anything out. That I'm sure the questions will come in as they do. But yeah, the overview of the whole entire program is unique in itself. And so we do have to require some more contact, but we'll do it safely in the end. That's just basically the bottom line. Yeah. As Colonel Fossum alluded to at the very beginning, the living on board the ships and knowing how to handle yourself around others and understanding, I talk with my hands a lot, so this makes it hard for me, how close you are. We have to keep that underlying, not really checkbox kind of training intact. So come back, be positive, do your part just like you would with your home. Don't go out trying to find COVID and exposing yourself, because you don't want to do that on a ship and lose your paycheck. So you don't want to lose your stance right here in your education and your academic progression. So it's just going to be us all working together to get it done and keep moving forward.
Jesse, do you want to speak briefly to how we're maintaining the quality of our educational offerings while some of those may be online?
Yeah, so once again, all the labs are going to be face-to-face. So we tried to do a lot of that in the fall or the spring when we had to suddenly abruptly rearrange our program. And the faculty took a lot of notes. And we are going to use what we call a ZOPT 100. Is our forum, weekly forum under Todd Sutherland's group in the Commandant. And we're going to reinforce those areas that may have felt they were lacking in the full evolution of instruction and assessment. So there are a couple classes that we did have to give a couple incompletes because we just didn't feel that you could lower an anchor and raise an anchor without a ship. So there are things we're not going to cut the corners on, pull those people back in and do them outside of the regular classroom. The labs, 100%. Simulators are still going to be running. My faculty are even willing to take what we would consider a 16-person class and cut it in half and extend the lab period so that people will get the same amount of time on the expensive equipment. We can't say go buy one and set it up in your living room. There's just no way we could require something like that. So we are definitely working to expand our own teaching times, even though you're getting less credit. The instructors, the faculty are going to be putting in the overtime to bridge that gap of knowledge and assessing. Does that help there?
Absolutely, thank you. Matt, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, if I could just comment on, Captain Roth is exactly right in what she said. And we've got some things that we can test, but there are some things that as an engineer, you simply have to go out and do. And for our classes, we've arranged them such a lot of our lectures are going to be online, but we did that because we do have a limited number of faculty. And we felt that we could do the delivery of the lecture part to more students because we've got both licensed and non-licensed option students. But really, it's really the hands-on, which is really the benefit to a lot of the licensed option. Hey, we're not going to pawn you off on a grad student. We're going to give you a licensed mariner or a PhD to sit you in the lab, and we've all taken, hey, we've got to do smaller labs. We've got to spend longer time doing that within our laboratory facilities, but we're not going to shortcut you on that part of the education when you do that. And so you'll see that when our with the system we've got, it is a hybrid environment, but we've got to be those high impact experience, hands-on with those faculty members that we could properly assess and get you out and the training that you need that's going to be useful in the field. So
I'm going to add something here, Rebecca, real quick. Just really, I mean, in the spring, when we very unexpectedly didn't come back from spring break and we're transitioning to online, it was by hook and by crook. We've done a lot more since then. Every classroom has AV equipment set up to actually, record the instruction from in the classroom. We've got the option to push that out for simulcast or synchronous, or some classes it'll be available later. But again, what they both mentioned in their programs and the hands-on components, we had to go in, and this ties back to what Captain Roth was saying about all of the approvals, the things under which we operate the programs here. It's an approval letter that comes from the Coast Guard that gives us the authority to be running a Coast Guard licensed program on our campus. And we have to tell them very specifically, because the federal regulations say we've got to have regulations, we've got to have a discipline system. If the cadets are not following the regulations, it's got to be a uniform cadet body, etc. And that's in there. And but it's also very detailed things about how you're going to deliver each one of these classes by name is actually in this overall agreement. And so that's all. If when we deviate from that, we're running into program risk, the potential trouble. And so we were working feverishly during this later in the spring semester to get approval for the variations and some waivers that were temporary to finish out the spring semester. But here's something that was really cool, because it first looked like, oh no, there's no way that you can deliver this class and accomplish all of these competencies, etc. Well, lo and behold, the faculty had front-loaded a lot of that stuff for many of the classes. So it was already done by spring break. Those kind of things were done. And so we were in great shape. Very, very few incompletes, I believe, we had to give out. And we got Coast Guard approval for a few, virtual sign-offs using one-on-one video and things like that we're able to do some cleanup. But this is a real big success story. So from the academic point of view, and segueing back to what gives us the authority to run this program, federal law says it has to be a uniformed cadet body. They have to live within regulations and rules. There has to be a discipline system. Like Captain Roth said, this is part of learning to live in a disciplined system in a controlled environment where there are expectations for you that regular jobs and people don't have out there. The Coast Guard approval, we document how we're going to run that cadet life and cadet program. That is what we have documented in our core, operations documents. All of those then are wrapped together with the core operations plans and documents, as well as all of the academic program elements, are all part of our Coast Guard program approval to run it. The academic part of it, the cadet part of it, etc., is all under Coast Guard scrutiny. And we have to deliver the program that we have told the Coast Guard we're going to deliver, every part of it. And so that's leading on to a discussion with our Commandant and Corps Commander. Come on up, Van and Chevy.
Thank you, Colonel. And as Dr. Roth was saying earlier, and the Colonel, we are, over here at the Texas A&M Maritime Academy Hall, we are taking the, our agreement with the Coast Guard of how we're going to run a program and implementing that here. And that's a constantly moving target. We are always looking at, state and local policies, A&M system, main campus policies about, what's the best way to do it? How do we do physically distancing and still have formations? How do we do room inspections and uniform inspections and all of those things that are required in this program? And, we're always looking for ideas. We're reaching out to our other academies around the country, seeing what they're doing, looking for best practices. We are looking at, what College Station does. And a lot of people point to College Station, goes, well, hey, their Corps of Cadets up there are doing this or not doing that. Why aren't you doing that down here? Well, fundamentally, we are a different Corps than they are up there. We're both Corps and we both have, mission statements, but down here, the license is tied to the Corps. The Corps is the structure that teaches you all of those career skills that Dr. Roth was referring to, where you're working in a paramilitary organization. So when you go out to a ship, the ship's master is like the commanding officer of a military unit. What they say goes. And if you don't follow those rules, you don't wear your personal protective equipment, or you're not in the right uniform, whatever that uniform is for that kind of a vessel, you could get discharged. You could get dropped off at the next port and have to find your way home. Not a big deal if they drop you off in Tampa. A lot bigger deal if they drop you off in the Ivory Coast or somewhere like that, and you have to get yourself home. So we're teaching the cadets those life skills, and and that's stuff that we can't teach from 100 miles away or 1,000 miles away. For those of you who haven't spent time down here on the Gulf Coast of Texas, it can go from clear and sunny and no wind to howling a gale in 30 minutes. You get a thunderstorm rolls in, it's raining sideways and it's blowing 30 knots. Well, if you're the watch on the ship, you learn how to set the heavy weather bill and how to secure the ship and make sure everything's ready to go. You can't do that on a Zoom call. You can't do that in a simulator. You do that by doing that. And that's what we're constantly working with the maritime transportation and the maritime engineering staff to figure out how we provide that high quality education. So that way, when the cadets graduate from here and go out to industry in whatever direction that is, they have those skills that they need. And additionally, we're always looking for process improvement, whether it's how to better deliver content in this interesting and challenging time, or down to we're reviewing all of our programs. We're always reviewing the Corps Operations Manual, the rule book that the cadets are expected to follow while they're here. What is it that they're expected to do? How are they expected to do it? How are the rooms set up? What are the uniforms? Where do you wear them? When do you wear them? How do you conduct yourself? But additionally, we look at uniforms. What uniforms make sense? How can we reduce the cost of this program? It's an expensive cost. We're always trying to provide the best value for the dollars, particularly in this time when there's so many economic challenges for families. We're looking for, hey, if we can take out, and we did this year, we took out a whole line of uniforms that cadets are not required to buy this year, and we're constantly evaluating those systems to go, are there things that we can, can we find better quality products? Can we find them at a lower cost? Can we minimize that financial burden on families, so that way you're not loading up the students with a huge amount of academic student loans and debt when they're coming out. It's, you come out with a degree and you start sailing, there are good salaries to be had, but no reason to load the students up with a huge financial aid burden if we can avoid that. But we sent out an update here yesterday that kind of highlighted how we're doing formations, how we're doing physical training, how we're doing the room inspections and uniform inspections, and all of these things are important in providing that education and teaching those skills and those habits and competencies. So ultimately, when Colonel Fossum is the one who signs off that we are graduating mariners of character and competence and of good character, that when they go out, there's nothing that I want to have more than when an A&M Maritime Academy grad goes out and they go out to Crowley or Kirby or one of these major companies and they see Texas A&M Maritime Academy, they'll go, hey, I want to hire them because A&M turns out great mariners, instead of, hey, I don't want to hire that person because they don't have a good reputation. Everything that we can do for making our students the very best mariners and the very best graduates we can is the cornerstone of everything that we do here at Tama Hall.
100%, absolutely. And like Commander Van Velzen said, while the road to our mission might have changed quite a bit, our mission is still the same. We're here to commission and to produce leaders in every career field, whether it's maritime, the Navy, or any other job that they go into, leaders of character, leaders of integrity. And while this semester definitely is not what I originally envisioned being chosen as Corps Commander, but every year the Corps has changed, and I can wholeheartedly say this semester is no different. We have adapted and overcame many issues, many problems that we saw that at first looked a little bit daunting, but because of the leadership above me and below me, and also the cadets in the academy who have just sent up their ideas and their input, we have made a lot of good progress and a lot of changes that I think are going to be well ahead of anything that I would come up with by myself. So this has been a constantly evolving process, but one that's been so useful and it's so incredible to look at. Of course, health and safety is the biggest thing. And with O Week starting tomorrow here for 1st Battalion, that has been on the forefront of all of our minds. And while we go forward, we have plenty of precautions in place and much requirements that we've put down that will ensure the safety of many of our cadets, but it also falls on our cadets, on you guys. By going out and taking care of some activities, you're putting all of us at risk. And what it means to be a shipmate and it means to be a teammate, we're not going to stand for that, like was said before. So look out for each other. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to sacrifice things for our teammates, for each other, for our mission. So that's what it means to be a teammate. So we're going to go through this and we're going to keep pressing on and looking for opportunities and ways that we can do better in how we operate this next semester, being the most recognizable on campus, because we're all wear the same exact thing every day. And, you know, all of us, whether you know us in particular or not, you know where we come from. So we're looking forward to ways that we can best operate as a Corps, and we're looking for feedback from our students, from our cadets constantly about how we can do that. If you have any ideas, send them up. We're willing to look at everything, and we've had some ideas that we looked at with a little bit of confusion, see clarity, and realized this is brilliant. Some ideas that looked off the bat, and we saw this is going to be exactly what we need. So send them up. We are ready to look at the feedback that you guys have for formations, inspections, ZOP, watch. Everything has changed, and that's for the mission, but also for you guys. Your well-being is the most important thing to me and to my staff, and we are committed to that absolutely 100% of the way. So every situation, while it couldn't be accounted for at first, we're going to face a lot of challenges and uncertainty. I can promise you that we will do our best to learn from them and to move on and to show that our mission, like I said before, has not changed. We will continually be there for you all and to look out for you. If you need anything, reach out. Concerns, voice them. But we are excited, and I'm so thankful for the leadership and the cadets of this academy who have been with me every step of the way. I'm excited to take on this challenge in this new school year. I think we are well equipped, well prepared, and definitely willing to take on any challenge that comes our way. I don't know if you have anything else, sir. Sorry, I interrupted you, sir.
No, thanks, Chevy. Did you have anything else?
No, sir, I did not. No, sir, I did not.
Okay. Yeah, very well done. We are excited about it. You know, I'm excited about working with you and the rest of your leadership team. We've got just a stellar bunch of motivated, you know, cadets, and you know, so we're going to do fine. A couple of, you know, other small things, because I think we didn't talk about dining yet, and then we did have some questions about it. You know, Captain's Landing cafeteria, you know, is open for dining. It's reduced seating, greater spread. I ate my Friday fish over there today. They're doing fine. It's reduced seating density, just like we're doing everywhere else on campus. There's kind of a meeting room, you know, extra dining room that's attached that students that have been here know is there. That will be set up, and the doors will be open, so that will be additional seating. And so is the lobby. So we're using all the available space in there. We're kind of clearing things out. And we will have, I don't know what the normal seating for the current area is, but we will have 179 places to sit in there. And the lunch time is being extended, I believe, to 3 o'clock. So it's a very long lunch, almost 4 hours. So, you know, you've got options to get in there. And of course, takeouts will be different. One difference is it's no more, you know, will not be self-serve. And so the Chartwell's people they've been training to serve food like they do on a ship. You know what I'm talking about. You're slinging it fast. They've been not really. But, you know, so it is a little different. There will be people, you know, putting the food on there so you're not all touching the same big spoons and things like that. But so a few differences, but you know, you get used to them fast. We've been eating like that for many months here now. You know, so anyway, it's about the same. Some questions have come up, and I've seen them, and about the dining plans, and I know, and there is just no flexibility in this contract with the Chartwells. It's the contract's like a decade-long contract, and I hear your frustration. I've been digging into this myself for the last 2 years, but that it's an ironclad contract, and we can't change it right now. And I'm sorry, it's just not an option. So that's a frustration, no doubt about it. A couple other things before I turn it over to Rebecca to finish things up with some closing info is, and I think we didn't mention, and we probably we should mention it more. There's help available out there. There is money from the Federal CARES Act. If there's a student with a critical need, contact the financial folks on campus, and there may be options there. We may be able to get you some of that federal money. There's also, for if you're in a licensed program, the student incentive program is pretty huge. It is worth $32,000 to be as part of it. You have to apply and be accepted into it, but it's a very good. You can even get it as an upperclassman. You can get it as a senior. At least that's the way it was last year, and they're really pushing. They want to get students like you into this program. You will serve in a reserve capacity when you graduate, but it's experience, and you're paid for that too. And life can be great. So for those of you, $32,000 is pretty significant scholarship money, and with a few years of reserve duty on the backside of that. And we often have those SSO officers sailing on the training ship with us. So their really tough reserve duty is to sail on a training ship, and et cetera. So please, if you're interested in that, let us know, and we can get you that information, and we'd be very glad to. Cadets, I'm proud of you. You're weathering this storm, and I'm proud of you every time I see you on campus, representing us. This university, it's true. I've been told of a nuance. The scientists were actually in Galveston before them in the 50s. So there were some marine biologists that were in an outpost down here from A&M. So the A&M had a presence in Galveston, but this campus started for the Maritime Academy to create a state maritime academy. Specifically, a few years later, the scientists joined together, and we became more than just the Maritime Academy. But you're the reason that this academy started. Originally, just licensed. We brought in the NRTC program, and then also the drill and ceremonies cadets that want to be part of the culture and traditions and pride of wearing a cadet uniform and representing our university without the other stuff. And that's a growing number too, and I'm excited to see that, because I want your cadet experience to be a good one. Working with Dr. Sutherland and our Corps Commander, our Commandant, I want to have the leadership growth opportunities that you can see, the changes from year to year, where you get more responsibility. The leadership is leadership, folks, and this is a leadership laboratory. When you leave here with your diploma in hand, your commission in hand, or your license in hand, or one free hand in the air because you were DNC, you're going to find out that leadership is the same. It is scaled to a different size. The consequences get bigger, but I would rather help train you and give you opportunities as a leader to make mistakes at 21, rather than get out in the world and make that same mistake at 31 and have it cost you your career. And that's really what in a big ways it's all about. my time as an Air Force officer, I look back with my leadership experience as a cadet. As I stepped out and I was an officer in the Air Force all of a sudden, and I was thinking, okay, what was it? How did I make this decision when I was a company commander and had to deal with a junior person? Because I had junior people that were doing, silly freshman and sophomore kind of mistakes. Now they're officer, enlisted members of the military or whatever, but they're junior. I was an officer when I stepped into that world. Those of you that are stepping into the operational world that are in ROTC or your license, you will be an officer when you step into that world. And by being first learning good followership and then growing in your leadership through the years, I'm really passionate about improving and increasing these opportunities to help you grow, because I know how important it is to you. You take the Aggie values, the Aggie core values, that Aggie grit and determination to get a job done, to get it done right, and you combine that with the leadership, with honor, with integrity. The world is crying out for leaders with integrity, leaders that live their life with honor. The world is crying out for them in business, or in everywhere. If you don't believe me, just turn on the news this evening and think how much we need leaders with honor and integrity, leading on the seas, leading in the businesses, leading in the offices, leading in our elected positions, leading in our volunteer organizations everywhere. I've been fortunate to serve as a crew member in 3 different media. I started by being a crew member, in the air, in jets. Then I was a crew member in space. And now I have served as a crew member for the last 2 summers. And one of the things that hurts this summer is I know non-essential personnel on the rudder, and I've got to admit I'm not essential, so I'm not out there on the rudder with them right now. So I'm missing out, but I've been out there the last 2 summers to observe what it means, and I've realized being a good crew member is the same. Doesn't matter where you are. And the essence of a good crew member is a professional that knows their stuff. You've got to know your craft, whatever it is, your skills, your knowledge. You have to have it. It takes hard work to be a good crew member, the kind of person everybody wants on their ship. Somebody that works hard. That's the person we want. Somebody that gets along well with other people. That goes into making a good crew member. Somebody that consistently has a positive mental attitude. That's the good crew member that we all want on our ship. It doesn't matter whether the ship has 2 people in a little jet, or it's got 6 people on a space station, or it's got 100 people on a very large vessel, or has, good gosh, 5,000, 6,000 in an aircraft carrier. That's the kind of people everybody wants on their crew. And it's the same kind of people they want in their office. It's the same thing. So that's really my passion, is to help you grow and internalize that professionalism, so that when you get out in the world, your reputation as an Aggie goes before you, that they know where you came from. And they know you had Captain Roth and Dr. Kane that were beating your expertise into you. They know you came through the disciplined life of our cadet program, so you know how to take care of your stuff. You know how to keep your berthing spaces clean, and you know how to be a professional in your operations on the ship, and you know how to train the junior people, the ABs that have really very little experience or training, and all of a sudden you've got to help train them. And you will have done those kind of things here as a cadet, so you'll be able to step into that world wherever you are and be successful and carry that Aggie flag with you proudly. So I think I will say, thank you very much. We've about used up our time. Thanks for the great questions and stuff. And I hope that everybody will join us, because tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we're going to be graduating a whole bunch, of our students. And many of them are on the general rudder right now, because this summer sea term was the last thing they needed for graduation. And even though they're not done yet, they've got another week and a half or so out there. They but they will be officially graduated tomorrow, and we will celebrate that. They've pulled in close to the shore, so they will be watching the ceremony live, and I will be swearing them in for their Merchant Marine, giving them the Merchant Mariner oath tomorrow also. So please join us for that and celebrate with all these cadets that are getting across the line tomorrow. And again, you've got my full commitment from me and everybody on this campus to do our best to get your cadet, your student, across that line too. As quick as we can. There's bumps in the road. The whole world is in turbulence, but we're going to do the best that we can because that's why we're here. So thanks a bunch for joining us. Rebecca, back over to you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you all for joining us, our speakers this afternoon. Everyone who's participating, we appreciate it. A couple of housekeeping items. We're going to keep that Qualtrics link open. If any of the content during today's conversation prompted more questions, please submit them through that link and we'll address them in future communications. Your primary source for information on COVID impacts on campus this fall semester will be tamug.edu/COVID-19. That's going to give you all the relevant information as things continue to evolve and change. Fortunately, we're in the maritime industry and we're familiar with being fluid and evolving and changing as new information becomes available. So thank you all. We'll have this up on social media to share with anyone who was not able to make it today, and appreciate your support and your feedback. Thanks so much.